Hey yo, back to make you run around again like it's a fire. I spit acid, bitch, like I got cyanide in my saliva. Watch me wet and heat shit up like I'm a washer in a dryer while I beat you in your head until you tired. I'm a motherfucking bitch. See the way we got my niggas is open. I'm doing it again, tripping in the wrong stain. Got a nigga while I like it in the bullpen. Look at it wishing it how they be hoping that I would've managed and I stop and I will finish, but I drop and always kill a nigga hotter than a skillet. Think you fucking with the god, you gotta be joking.
So why do we do this shit? Well, as humans, we're designed to do something. We strive to achieve. A man or your feminist is a lifeless soul when they lose their ambition and will. You must find purpose in this short life, whatever it may be. One thing I've always been fascinated with is, how strong can the human body get, or combat sports. I mean, I probably should have been born in the ancient Roman times. I'll give a little insight to, what's going on before I lift. So I like to call this concept going dark. So going dark is for the introverted person. Thoughts are twisted like a rope around your throat. At this moment, it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. So much anger running through my veins, but then it all disappears as if it was never there. Or I pass out, which has happened a couple of times, but that's one thing we've been working on, so we've got it managed, thankfully, leading into this block. So I am intrigued about the human minds, in particular, the mind of high-level athletes. I think they're able to really do
Hold aggression. Hold aggression now. Rein it in. Focus about what you're doing. Rein it in. Little steps. 1, 2, your feet, weight. Squat. Sit back. Tight. Punch to the bar. You got it. Up. Wait.
I'll teach you my Buddhism in the snow rain thread. He was undaunted, and on a winter day, he stood outside the snow of the cave of Bodhidharma and cut his left arm with his right hand. With his blood in the snow, it had rained red, and Bodhidharma consented to take Huakyu as his disciple and teach him his kung fu. That is why all Shaolin disciplines of kung fu bow with their left arm hanging limb and hold their right prayer hand in memory and appreciation of Huakyu, which I feel is a symbol of determination, willpower, self-discipline, and awakening, and something I like to take into my training and just, life in general. So as you can see, I've been working, on the rehabilitation side of things. Recovery plays such an important factor in this sport and all sports in general. So I'm consistently been trying to work is managing my body. In my early years, purely focusing on the 3 big lifts and neglecting imbalances has led to a bit of wear and tear. So fortunately, we identify some of these underlying issues. Working on postural correction has significantly helped lead into this prep, alongside on a regular basis have been receiving treatment of Nick Nguyen, which you probably see in the video. So he's been using a combination of manual therapy, adjustments, which anecdotally has been really great for me, and corrective exercises has really put me in a great position. One thing in particular I'm really loving is the lifting variation that we implemented prior to squatting and benching, being the use of the behind the neck press. I feel has been very conductive to shoulder health and stabilization prior to these movements. And also because I am quite thick, they call me Mr. Density. It's difficult having thoracic spine limitations, which has hindered mainly my squat prior to making it very difficult to maintain an effective position, and hence having other areas having to take the slack. Quite in particular the lumbar spine, and also which has led to further beating up my shoulders, which affects my bench. So we've been working on that T-spine mobility as well in terms of a standpoint, working with Jacob Skepis on lumbar pelvic awareness before descent into the squat, and that's also helped to take a lot of pressure off the lumbar, because I usually get into a bit of a hyperextension. So currently we're in our final weeks of training. Majority of the hard work has been done. So Tang's got me squatting twice a week. So early in the week is more of a lighter session. We're probably working around that 80 to 85%, with a bit of higher reps and sets. And, as the week progresses, linearly intensity increasing and, volume decreasing. We find early in the week, these sessions are more relatively hard because I've got quite a bit of high fatigue, and then it starts to drop off. Ready to hit our top single, and back those top singles are also backed off with some lower weights, to get a bit more volume in. So I think it was last Thursday. I was really happy to hit a top single of 240, especially prior to that I did miss the 230. I felt I lost a bit of positioning, with a bit of forward lean. And then as I tried to recover from that squat, I think I've that cued chest up, and I've leaned back a bit too much. So, what you got to do is you've really got to mask all those doubts you have and just hit that bastard. That's why we thought we'd just go for it, and pulled off. Then following that week, we had the guys down from 3DMJ. That was awesome experience. And then I hit a top single on the following weekend on that Monday. It was a PB actually, so I hit a 245. The environment was on, so it was time to pull the trigger. And that moved exceptionally well also. So things you have to do is never underestimate those back offsets, but they were around 215, and unfortunately I felt my wrist clock back, and it put a lot of strain on shear force on my shoulder and wrist, which pulled up very sore. So I had the following 2 days off, trying to ice it and get onto the anti-inflams. But unfortunately my lighter squat session, was pushed forward, and honestly it felt like shit. Also as a result, it's aggravated my left shoulder flare up. So bench pressing this week has been significantly off. So, but fortunately we were able to stick to the plan. We were able to grind through those top singles and back offs. It's great to be surrounded by such a great team. Shout out to Water Garden Station. So also have been bench pressing 3 times a week. Also similar principles. So one lighter session, and then later on in Drake we hit a top single. This is the first time in I can't remember how long, but I've hit every top single. And then the following day, just to alleviate a bit of stress off the shoulder, we've been doing a slingshot, and that's enabling me to get some heavy loads and practicing that lockout. Deadlifting has been going, has definitely been going great. So we're deadlifting twice a week. One early in the week's that speed week, and then later on during the week also hitting the top single. So I've hit some top singles of around that 250 to 270 mark. Thing we've been looking at is practicing with pulling the deadlift with the hips as high as possible. And also we've definitely seen some potential relationship with my squats, as they've been really flowing, the deadlifts are definitely complementing it. So leading into Worlds, I will be coached by Samuel Shepis. We leave on Wednesday, so not long to go. Following to next week, we'll be probably hitting those top doubles, probably around, I'm going to assume around a 260 mark for the deadlift, hopefully. And then moving forward, we'll start with the deload. So I'll probably have to hit some of these heavy double benches when we land, because it'll be 7 days out to when I'm competing in this highly stacked weight class. Body weight's very light at the moment too. I'm floating between. Today I actually woke up at 72.8, so I definitely have to eat a bit more. But we're expecting over the flight to drop weight, so it's another thing to be in a good position where don't have to worry about cutting weight. I think the best comps I've had is when they've been stress free and not having to make a stringent weight cut. So naturally. I like to put put weight on necessarily, not not just for the sake of it. So we look at it and the concept that if I have an empty mug, being muscle mass, I fill it up with water, which is sort of being neurally efficient, and then eventually that water outfills the mug, so I get a bigger mug, build more muscle and refill that water. So that's why it's definitely something where, powerlifters and bodybuilders interchangeably should take a page out of each other's book. And also, I do like to be quite aesthetic. So also in terms of the supplements I've been taking, with the assistance from Peter Memmott from ASN, I've been taking the HPC. Essentially what it is the a creatine monohydrate that has a range of chelate molecules that help with the upregulation. So creatine is naturally found in the body, but generally at not sufficient enough levels to lead to an increase in performance. So supplementation may be needed. And what it essentially does is ATP is the powerhouse of the cell, located in the mitochondria. And every time we make a contraction, this ATP breaks down to ADP. So what this creatine does is donates creatine phosphate ions, which helps resynthesize the ADP to ATP, and hence, leading to potential power strength increases. So it's something that's I've just always taken you around, so there's no need to come off it and things like that. And there's been some really good studies in regards to it. And that pretty much sums it up, guys. So thanks for tuning in. I think my YouTube career will be over. Um, so I'm glad you enjoyed this series. Ciao. I will see you at Worlds.